Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with the Castle, your news show and discussion on everything Walt Disney World and more. On today's show, we're going to be kind of doing a discussion-based only, kind of based off some current news, but we just kind of wanted to impromptu kind of break it down, discuss it with each other, and just kind of rant about it a little bit, kind of let you know what we think, what our thoughts are on the news out of the most recent call from the executives on the Q2 earnings from the Walt Disney Company. So all that and more up next. Welcome back to the show, everybody. My name is Colin. I will be your host, and join with me every single episode, my co-host, Brendan. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just got down to the beach house.
Yeah, so. I see that. I can. The sun's peeking in, but Brendan blinked and ended up in Florida this wonderful afternoon. So I'm a little bit jealous. I'm still, as you guys can see, in Atlanta in my apartment, but maybe I'm gonna work something out. Me and Audrey's been dying to go to the beach, so we're looking at some places. So that being said, again, we wanted to break down some stuff that came out of the earnings call for Q2 for Walt Disney, the Walt Disney Company. So for those of you that don't know, Q2 just ended at March 28th for the Disney Company. Their quarters start differently. Their Q1 starts in October. Granted, some of the parks, a lot of them, they have a big trend of opening October 1st and things like that, but that's just when it is. It's probably for business purposes, the way they wanted to set it up. But that being said, Bob Chapek spoke a lot and released a lot of critical info going forward about all the closures, the future in the Disney parks, and a whole lot of info, regarding the money, the income of the company, which wasn't very good. So me and Brennan kind of chit-chatted about this before the show. And we're on the same page for the most of it. Disney's in a little bit of trouble. I mean, I think they'll be okay for sure, but it was a rough quarter, and they only were closed for 2 weeks in Q2, and they were still paying out the employees during this portion. But the first topic I wanted to talk about, Brendan, was the fact that the Disney company lost $1 billion in Q2 overall. So what are your first thoughts on that before we go into the impact the actual theme parks had?
Yeah, that's a huge hit. It doesn't matter what company you are. $1 billion is that's a lot of money. And they keep on losing money. But they can make that money back fast if the faster they get open. So you just gotta hope this doesn't last a year, and you'll be fine. And Disney should be fine.
Yeah, they just need to make another Avengers movie. No, I agree 100%. So that being said, we wanted to kind of mainly talk about the theme parks. That's what we usually kind of talk about in these shows. But that topic is pretty intense right now because every theme park is currently closed across the world. But just the domestic parks of that $1 billion loss contributed to $500 million of that net loss. So that's only 2 of the parks. So they play a big role.
Yeah.
Disney World, almost 2/3 of that role.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The other parks, yes, there are, there's other parks, but everybody knows Disney World is the moneymaker and probably makes up, out of that 50%, they probably make up 35% of the 50%.
Yeah,
or close to it. So
they're the energizer money. They're the battery, keeping the whole thing alive. So it's the hub of the theme parks essentially. So it's big. If you do the math, just on the 14 days that the parks were closed in that quarter, that's a lot of money. That's about $34.5 million a day lost just between Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So I think Disney is really, really running a million miles an hour and trying to think of any way possible to get the parks back open. And that's going to kind of lead us into the next topics they talked about. So,
with Shanghai, that's good. That's good news for Disney, even though that's not domestic. That's good news.
Right. It's income coming back. So that's the next thing. Shanghai Disneyland is opening on May 11th. At 25% capacity. All employees, so cast members, every single one of them, and every single guest has to wear a mask at all times. Certain dining, places obviously will have to take it off to eat, but they'll be very, very restricted as well. Social distancing, no buffets. But something big they mentioned, which is going to be real eerie and different for a lot of the younger people. And I know we can talk about it because obviously we remember being young and doing that not too long ago. But there's going to be no interactions with characters. So they're saying that there are going to be face characters and there are going to be furred characters, as they called it, but they're only going to be in stage shows and things like that, or at least 6 to 10 feet away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. What do you tell, your children that are maybe used to seeing them or excited to see them, and then they're so close, but they can't?
Yeah, so that's the same magic might not happen, but I think the kids will still get happy. I know I get happy just when, Woody or when they walk by in the park, like in Disneyland.
Right.
It's cool to see him just even walk by or just far away. So I think the kids will be happy, and I think everybody will be happy, but obviously you can't go hug them or go take a selfie.
Yeah, no, it won't be the same for a lot of people, but I hope they make the best out of it. But yeah, Shanghai will be open, so that's going to be kind of the test. So we'll kind of see how that works. I don't think there'll be such thing as a failure. I don't think there'll be a mass breakout, but at this point, they've got to slowly start reopening things, and I think since this was the first to close, it closed in January. I think it's a good place to start. So I'm interested to see what happens. That moves on to the next thing I wanted to mention from the talk, which is going to kind of lead back to the domestic theme parks. Yeah. But this is where Bob Chapek mentioned the cruise line. So he mentioned that the Disney Cruise Line was going to be the last physical entertainment object to necessarily open for the Disney Company. Yeah. And when he mentioned that, the big part to highlight was that it was only a couple months away. So that just kind of brings a lot of curiosity to me. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that's a little optimistic. And with my company that I'm working for, we have a plan too, but you can only really plan so far, especially with something like the virus going around. So so I think that's just being optimistic and hoping everything starts to get better. I think July could be a little bit soon for the cruise line, just because everybody's you're literally stuck on a boat. You're gonna have to. The hallways are smaller. Just things are a lot smaller, more confined. So I think it could be that if everything gets back on track like it should. But if it starts picking up again, I think maybe September or October. And that's the last thing that's going to open is cruise line. So, I could maybe even see it going maybe into 2021. But that would be if it got really bad for cruise line.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. So a lot of people are saying, inside sources are saying, forums, a lot of really big news outlets for Disney are stating that if the cruise line is going to be 2, 3, 4 months away, July, August, September of opening, then that would mean that Walt Disney World to some degree would have to have already been opened in May, June, July, August, whatever it ends up being. But we don't know when. Again, I think I agree with what you're saying. They need to take it day by day, and they don't want to say something too critical at such a date. But
I think the domestic parks will be the last ones to open. I do think that. Think Shanghai, think Tokyo and France. They're gonna
Tokyo
open.
just had another really bad breakout. They haven't been handling it too well. I really do think that just based on how well we're kind of responding at this point now, not weeks and months ago, and it's not. We know there's not a vaccine right now. It's not going anywhere soon. In my opinion, I 100% think that at least to 20-25%, Florida residents, the masks, all that stuff. You have to use hand sanitizer.
Pass holders.
Well, they're going to delay that still. I really think that no matter what, if you don't want to go, don't go. If you're afraid to go, don't go. I think they'll be open in July, and I think they'll be open in August. I think towards the end of July, but I foresee a soft opening of the parks just to test the waters with cruise, cast, that kind of thing, early to mid-July. That's my opinion. I mean, at this point, they can't stay closed forever. We saw the earnings report. What is quarter 3 going to look like? Quarter 3 is going to be awful if this keeps going. And it's already going to be the worst quarter ever, I think, that the Disney company has had.
In a long time,
I'd say they have no choice. They're going to have an ultimatum. Florida already opened this week, this Monday. They're doing in stage 1. They'll be well into stage 3 or 4 at that point. I really now, after this talk, after kind of what Bob Chapek hinted at, I know they're being optimistic. I think the cruise line will be the winter or even possibly into next year, but I think very end of this summer or early fall, we will see the domestic parks open. And I am being optimistic myself, but I want to be back there, and I want to see the Disney company, in a positive note, making money again, because it's not helping any of us if they're not.
Yeah. I think for me, August the earliest, and maybe October the latest, probably for domestic parks. But I think everything will be back on schedule soon.
I say July for sure. I mean, there's already a lot of people that work for the company that have leaked emails and stuff. Even I know that it could, it's all going to be statistically, but I just sense it, because they're saying there's also the rumors that have leaked out that Epcot's not going to open. There's not outdoor rides, because you got to think they are going to open, I think, that early, but indoor, Buzz Lightyear's not going to be open. Winnie the Pooh's not going to be open. Everything indoor like that, besides, Everest, you're on it temporarily, that would be open. They're saying none of those will be open until stage 3 or full-blown opening again.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna have to. I think they're gonna have to do what they do, but
because you're gonna have to clean everything between every ride, and especially with the dark rides, you can't stop the ride every time, and so
the Omni-Mover rides, they're supposed to not stop moving. Imagine if you're on Spaceship Earth and it already stops a lot for handicap, accessible entry, which I'm okay with.
And it breaks down.
But it, that happens, and it stops the flow of the traffic if you're in line or you're on the ride. But imagine wiping it after every person gets off. It would literally never move.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But anyways, that's my thoughts. I'm being really optimistic, but we just wanted to kind of rant about this for you guys. We didn't want to just sit here and bore you and break down the whole quarter 2 report. We knew it wasn't going to be pretty. I don't want to sit there and talk about all the negative numbers and things of such, but I just want to hope for the best in the future. I think Disney's going to take the right steps, put the right foot forward, and hopefully we get some news in the next 1, 2, 3 weeks about maybe some sort of concept plan even. But they did not mention Walt Disney World on the whole entire call.
Yeah, I know we're finishing up, but I think if they did open up, they would have to, if they're going to open up in July, I think we're going to get about a month or maybe at least 2 weeks notice before the parks open. So
I think so.
Somewhere between 4 weeks, I think we'll get notified.
Right. So everybody out there, please keep washing your hands, because the sooner you stay, up with it, the sooner hopefully we can be back in the park. So let's keep going downwards. I'm looking forward to get back. I know Brennan is, and I hope you guys all are. Let us know what you guys think in the comments about, Bob Chapek talking about the cruise line. When do you think that potentially could open? Are they going to risk it kind of in July and slowly start to open it to try to bring some money back in and bring the fans back? Or do you think it's going to be later, 2021? We want to know what you guys think. We obviously know it's not ideal. They lost $1 billion, but what are your thoughts on the call? On the hints going forward. That's what I really wanted to make this conversation about, and I think we broke it down pretty well. So thank you guys so much for listening and following along to another episode of Keeping Up with the Castle, your news show and discussion. We will see you guys next time. Hopefully we get some news soon and we can come back here sooner rather than later, but we will catch you guys next week. Take care.